Hello fellow commanders and welcome to Strategic Command World War II World at War with me, Bubblebox. This game is a turn-based, hex-based World War game encompassing the whole of the World War from Europe, North Africa, Middle East, the Pacific Campaign, the China-Japanese War, everything. This game has got pretty much every war within the World War encompassed within it. We're going to be playing a single player game today. I'm not going to go too much into detail about the game and everything. We'll do that once we're into the game. But I'll just mention there is a multiplayer system on this game as well, which I've been playing against Proto-Soccer, and it works really well, the play by email system. Fairly slick as well. So we're going to head in though to a single player game. There are 6 scenarios at the moment, starting at various time points and with various victory conditions. We are going to be playing 1939 start World at War, starting in September the 1st, 1939. Now there's a number, you can either play as the Axis or as the Allies. You can also play as individual countries as the Axis and individual countries as the AI as well. Control as much or as little as you want, letting the AI take over the other countries. Which side are we going to play? Well, I've had a look on YouTube. There's already a couple of good YouTubers already playing as the Axis. And in fact, most people online seem to play the Axis. And I can understand why it's a less kind of sprawling game to play at the start, but we're going to head for the Allies because there's already a couple of playthroughs started on the Axis. It is going to be a little bit slower to start with, but it's still very interesting because at the start the Allies have got to be on the defensive. They've got to get their research going and get their economies into gear, ready to push back against the Axis later on in the game. So it's a mega interesting. Again, you can play as the individual countries, or you can play as all of them. We're going to play as all of them. It's going to be a sprawling, all-encompassing playthrough, but we'll give it a go. Now, I'm going to start this off, but I do want to give me a thumbs up or some comments and stuff if you want to see more, just to encourage me to get online and do some more, because when I get that interaction, I feel more enthused to do more videos. Difficulty levels can be changed, but we're going to leave it at intermediate and leave all the computer bonuses as they are set at default. There are a number of options that you can change. You can have a look at that in your own time, but I'll just mention I'm leaving most things on. I'm leaving the fog of war on. I'm going to leave the hexes on so you can see where the hexes are. Leave most things on so that you can see them. It is a YouTube video, so we can see what's what and what's happening. I'm going to also leave the little character sprites on and not do the you can do NATO if you want, but we're not going to have the NATO counters. We're going to use the sprites. There's a whole load of other and more advanced things that I've turned mostly on as well. I've also left on quick slow animation, just so that we can, again, as it's a YouTube video, so you can see what the heck the AI is doing during its turn, so you can get a good feeling of what's going on in the game. Okay, so we'll head in and get cracking. So the first thing that's going to happen is the Germans are going to be attacking Poland, of course, and there's going to be the war in the east going on between the Japanese and the Chinese. So war has begun, and so we're going to see the Germans moving around on the western front there, and then the eastern front, the Japanese fighting the Chinese, of course. And as far as the Germans are concerned, I should imagine in a moment, it tells you on the bottom left, although you can't quite see it, what the AI is doing, because it does take a little bit sometimes if there's a pause. At the moment it's moving its fleet. Now we're getting into combat as the Stukas start to attack into Poland. So normally the planes all go in first, then the ground forces tend to go in. So we've got the Japanese Air Force attacking the Chinese, which is responding. You always get some escorts and also interceptors as well. So the bombers will go in with their escorts, the interceptors will intercept, and the escorts will intercept the interceptors, etc. So more bombing in Poland and more bombing in into China, as the Japanese try to make some inroads and the Germans keep bombarding into Poland. Now Poland is kind of scripted to fall, as is France, and in this game as the Allies, what you need to be doing at the start, both as the Chinese Also as the French and the British helping out the French in France, is to delay the Germans as long as possible and do them as much damage as possible. For the Germans, if you play this as the Germans, it's all about moving as fast as possible and not getting delayed. So that's kind of where the game is at for the first kind of year, really, year playtime. So the Japanese are continuing to attack, the Germans continuing to attack into Poland. Once the Polish capital Warsaw goes down, then the Poles will surrender. So once you take a country's capital, a minor's capital, it will nearly always surrender. Sometimes it might take an extra turn or two depending on the dice roll for the surrender. For the majors, you need to capture both their main city and a number of secondary capitals as well before they will surrender. So the Germans moving the big panzers in and around, a bit of surrounding going on then. This has got a brilliant logistics, morale and support system in this game, and when you surround units you can kill them off really easily. As the Japanese move up towards Nanjing, one of their first objectives in the game. Germans continue to push in on Poland from, well, three directions really, from the north, south and the west. And the Russians are likely to invade also from the east. They don't always, but they are very likely to. So South Africa declares war on Germany. The UK, of course, declares war on Germany, as does France. And then the game will just calculate all supply lines for the different individual units, and then you get a little bit of a summary as to what goes on. Now I'm not going to go through everything. You can pause if you want to see things. Now this is our first decision point. As I said, there's loads of different decisions you have to make in this game. So the first one is, now that we are at war, it is expected of us, this is for the British, that we send the British Expeditionary Force, the BEF, to France, just as we did in the last war. Arrangements are in place for the BEF to be transported across the Channel and deployed around Rouen on the 1st of October 1939. Once there, the forces could provide boosts to French morale, which is rather fragile. If we do not send the BEF to France, the French national morale will fall by 1,000 points and the USA will move 5 to 8% away from the Allies. Would you like to deploy the BEF in France? Yes, or risk the consequences of deploying it in the UK? In other words, keeping it very safe? No. And I'll just mention morale is really important in this game. Your units work better with good morale, and if your country's morale gets to 0, your country will surrender. So you need to be hitting the enemy's morale as much as you possibly can. Now for each of these decisions, again I'll just go over this once, each of these decisions there are a number of notes, so giving you some information on if you say yes what will happen, and if you say no what will happen. And I'll flick them up every time they come on for you to have a read through, but I've had a look at most of these on my playthrough, so I'm not going to read through them all again. But we are definitely going to be sending the BEF. We don't want that morale fall for the French this early in the game, so we'll be sending the BEF to France. And our next decision is that now the Germans have invaded Poland, this is for the Russians, is well underway. It is important that we do not show weakness and let the Germans gain the whole country. It is therefore important that we fulfill our side of the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact by marching into Poland, even though it will cause some harm to our relationship with the UK and France. Would you like to order the Red Army to prepare to advance into Poland? And we're going to say yes to that. There are some notes. You don't have to do it to get slightly better relations with the rest of the Allies. If you say yes, you get slightly worse, but you gain a lot of a lot of ground, and it helps you later on to defend when Barbarossa occurs. So we're going to say yes to that, and then we can move in and do some battling. So we'll have a look at the Germans first, at the Poles first of all, the Polish. All we need to be doing here is defending Warsaw. We can't really attack. We haven't got the forces, we haven't got the strength, we haven't got the advancements of the enemy, so we can only defend, and we've got to defend Warsaw. So what we're going to be doing is trying to block the enemy's entrance into Warsaw. Unfortunately this tank has got close, which gives it kind of an area of effect there, so we can't move into that spot, which I would like to do, would have liked to have done, but we're going to move as close as we can. Now I could, in fact I might move my bomber there just to block that. Oh, I can't because I haven't got... okay, yeah. Well, let's reinforce our fighter first, because we're going to want that, as many points on that as we possibly can, and then we'll... Shame I can't move that to there. Oh, I can move out of modelling down to there to block that hex. I think we'll do that. Just trying to block this guy's movement into Warsaw. We will put a unit into there. Just quickly check where these can go. We're going to move this guy down to protect that area from Warsaw. We'll move this guy into the fortress. And then that one can stay there. And it'd be nice to block that hex, which we can do. And then this one can just move down here just to maybe try and block this Panzer a little bit. I'm going to actually bomb, or I could move to there. I'm going to move it. It's going to be a bit of a meat shield just to block Warsaw again, and we'll try and get this little guy down onto the action as well, this militia unit. The armies are four guys. The corps are 3 guys, less powerful than the armies, but move faster. And then the militia are the weakest units, really only good for defence and holding positions. So that's that. We'll try and move this guy as well to block these forces coming forward. I'll move this mechanised unit back, and we'll move our horse back. So that's it really. That's going to be our last stand defence for Warsaw. Okay, Polish can't really do any research or anything. They've not got any points. So now we'll bump over to the Japanese side. So the Japanese are attacking the Chinese. The Chinese are here on the left. Headquarters are really mega important in this game, and I'm going to be wanting to get a headquarters down towards Nanjing because it hasn't got one. So we're going to be moving this headquarter down. Start moving this headquarter down towards Nanjing. Nanjing somewhere we're going to really need to defend at the beginning of the game. We're going to move this headquarter. You're going to have to follow. It's really difficult to move across mountains. We're going to try and move this one down towards this area, and we'll move this headquarters, and we'll buff up our aircraft as well because we're going to want that on 10 health using the points that we've got. And we'll move him down to there. We're going to want him to take control of these units, and we're going to want this to take control of these units up here, this headquarters. Now I'm going to be wanting to get infantry weapons 2 upgrade, and I'll show you what that is a bit later, for the Chinese as soon as possible. So I'm going to be we're going to be wanting to be stingy on points. We're going to need to keep our fighter upgraded, but everything else I'm going to kind of leave. I'm just going to give this guy a couple of extra points, and then we're going to try and save the rest. Got 45 points left, military points. That's the currency of the game, if you didn't know. Let's just see when we've got extra units coming in as well at certain points. The first one, where are we? September. The first one's going to be, that might be next turn actually, October the 5th. We're going to get another corps which we're going to stick down near Nanjing. So everything else is going to kind of be the same. I'm going to reinforce this guy as well here. The only ones that are really in danger, I think, are probably this guy is a little bit exposed. He's got entrenchment 3, so I am going to leave him there, but he can be attacked by 4 units here and plus bombers, and they've got a commander there, so, or a headquarters, so he's in a bit of danger there. Apart from that, we're looking fairly solid for the next turn for the Chinese. Okay, heading over to the Brits. For the Brits, we're going to get the BEF moving in, and so not much to do for them really. Again, for the BEF, we're going to save points to get research done, so I'm probably not going to do too much with them. I'm going to try to push Africa, North Africa, really hard at the beginning of the game, and take Addis Ababa a little bit later. Spend points up here first, try to push these Italians right out of North Africa right near the start of the game and concentrate on that, and helping to defend France and delaying the Germans with the BEF. So we're going to leave Britain for now because we're going to be wanting, in fact I might be able to get some research. Let's just check the research for Britain. Oh, that's another thing I want to do. Yeah, I want to get rid of some stuff if we don't need it, to get more points. Heavy bombers, I don't want them at the start of the game, so I'm going to get rid of that research. You get half the points back. We want to get the research going. We're going to keep long range aircraft. Artillery, again for the Brits, not that important at the start of the game. I'm going to get rid of that one as well. We're going to keep that, keep logistics, keep production technology as well. Now I could get industrial technology, or I could wait. No, we're going to get those infantry weapons done as fast as possible, as you can get 2 chits into that to get them upgraded, and then we'll start working on our industrial technology. Cool. So that's kind of all I'm going to do for the Brits. Although, actually, thinking about it, let's move our ships around a bit. So I'll move you up to there. I want both the aircraft carriers down. We'll move that battleship up there. I want my aircraft down to help. Oh, that's a bit risky. We'll send him down the back way here. Just maneuver them a little bit. We'll put you into there. Move this aircraft carrier. Well, actually, we'll move you up to there. Move this aircraft carrier down to... Can it not reach there, really? I'll use my destroyers in a second. It can't reach. We'll put that into Plymouth. And we'll bring the other aircraft carrier down the east coast here. They'll get that in position next turn. We'll start sending out our destroyers because the Germans... we'll try and cut them off first. The Germans will start to send out U-boats. We'll send our U-boat out as well to just interdict this convoy route. We'll send it up north. Up there. We can hide you into there. We'll get our other... I'm going to put these up here just to try and intercept the U-boats as they try and make their way into the Atlantic. We might get lucky and spot one. So we've just got two destroyers at the moment. Destroyer is the best weapon against the U-boats. We've got a French destroyer out here. We've got a French battleship which we're going to want to use. So I'm going to actually send this... I'm going to send these all the way down and fast move them down here because there is a German surface vessel down there we're going to want to try and take out if we can. And I believe we've got a British cruiser down here in the Falkland Islands which we're also going to want to utilise and bring that in on the fight as soon as possible. So we'll fast move that forward as well. What else is there to do? There's nothing else really to do other than the Atlantic at the moment, I don't think. However, France has got a lot to do in France. The first thing I'll do before I forget, I'm just going to move their fleet down towards the Italians will come into the game, and we're going to want the French fleet to do battle with them and mop things up with the British fleet. I'm going to want my aircraft carrier over here. We'll have the destroyer just checking out for that, for the Italian subs. We'll have the aircraft carrier in there. In fact, we'll send this guy down to here and we'll put our destroyer in the base there where it's a little bit safer, and we'll put our light cruiser into a base at Jerusalem, into a port there. And that's it really, I think, for the Brits. Now the French are going to have to set up a defence, and it's not worth starting research for the French. I don't think they've got any research underway. No, it's not worth doing it because they just don't get it in time, so for the German invasion. So we're going to be wanting to get units and get things in position. Now I want these armies out of here and over towards the north. So we're going to put corps in their place, and we're going to bring all these corps forward. Actually, get this bomber back into a safer position first. Bring this corps forward. Going to bring this corps forward as well. Take the place of that army. This corps is going to take the place of that army. This army can go into the north there. That can stay where it is. This army, this corps can go into Lille, and this corps can go into the factory area there. And they've got a fighter as well, which we're not going to do anything with at the moment because I'm going to want to purchase some units for the French as one of the first things I do. We're going to get some anti-air pieces and some garrisons. Can we afford anti-air at the moment? How many points? We've got 75. We can't afford anything. We could start getting a garrison, which will... Oh, we'll hold off. We'll hold the points for the French until the beginning of the next term. They're not going to get invaded yet by the Germans. They're too busy in Poland. USA, nothing yet. Nothing for the USA yet. Nothing for the Russians yet. We'll start them off on the next turn. We haven't got enough points to do anything with India yet. So I think that's pretty much it for our first turn. I hope I've remembered everything. We'll end turn and we'll see what the AI has got up its sleeves. So the Red Army begins to cross the border into Poland. Polish morale plummets as news spreads that the Red Army has crossed the border. For the Brits, Lord Lithgow Viceroy of India is considering declaring India as a belligerent state on our side today. However, if the Viceroy does declare India to be a belligerent state, then there will be not be sufficient time for him to consult either the Italian political leaders or the electoral provincial representatives. This could lead to resentment and possibly even unrest among the population should the Viceroy of India immediately declare war on India. So if the Viceroy decides not to act, then a contingent of British Indian forces will be transferred, not to act today, from India to Egypt, and we will leave it to the Indian Congress to decide when to declare. So we get an extra unit. This could take some time, though. Leaving the Congress could be... So basically, if we get India fully mobilised now, they'll get a lot more points and build up their armies for later on. But if we don't, if we say not to, if they decide not to act today, then we'll get a set of Indian forces in Egypt to fight against the Indians, so I have to fight against the Italians. So I think I'm going to say no, and we'll get that unit because I really want to do a huge push on North Africa at the start of the game. So we'll get that Indian army. We'll get less points for India at the start. We won't have to worry too much about India at the start of the game, but we'll be using India later on to fight the Japanese. So I've got another decision to make for the Americans, and basically I won't go over it all, but they can send aid to China via the Hanoi Kunming Railway, and we're definitely going to want to do that. It will cost the US a few points, which is what that Guff's saying, and there's some notes there, which are, well, there aren't any notes for this one. So we're going to say yes, because we do want the Chinese to be as strong as we can possibly make them to hold the Japanese back at the start of the campaign. So Norway's mumbling, groaning about our British sub. Canada has now declared war on Germany, as has Australia, and we get lots of convoys being set up. We're getting a bit of interdiction there. The red is where we're getting interdicted, our convoy line from South Africa, by either a German U-boat or a surface vessel, a raider. So we'll have to check that out while the computer sorts out the supply. Okay, so the Germans continue on their advance into Poland, and the Japanese will continue with their battle with the Chinese, which is going to go on for a while, I feel, and hopefully we won't lose too many Chinese units too early on. That's always a danger in this game. You've got to hold on to your units as long as you possibly can, keep them alive, especially for China. Keep pulling them back, use their dug-in capability and then pull them back. Germans already starting to move a few units over towards the French border, getting ready for their blitzkrieg in the west, as our interceptor does a little bit of damage, hopefully, to their bombers. Okay, good. Takes out our little old cavalry unit. Cavalry units are very weak in this game, although they are cheap and fairly manoeuvrable if you need something cheap and manoeuvrable, but they don't fight too well. More Japanese bombers coming in. Tactical bombers, medium bombers. There's a medium bomber there for the Germans. Medium bombers do a lot of damage to morale. Tactical bombers tend to do more physical damage to the units. So some more attacks. They're getting rid of our dug-in ability there, the Japanese, by every time they attack with an army. And another attack onto Nanjing. We need to bolster that up in the south and get a commander down there, or a HQ down there, as soon as possible, as the Germans surround one of our armies and shatter another. So they're getting closer to Warsaw, but they're not going to take it this turn, and they will probably take it next turn. So there, we've delayed that Panzer in the south. There's more Japanese attacks in the north border of China. Corps attacking our army in Poland. Another surround, so he's going to be quite weak next turn. Probably get destroyed now. Yep, there he goes. He's been shattered. So he's out of the game. And the other tank moves in. Now next to Warsaw. They're definitely going to take Warsaw next turn, but at least we've delayed them a turn, and hopefully done a few of their units a little bit of damage. And is our fighter going to survive to fight one more battle? I think it might do, as they just manoeuvre in and around Warsaw. And Now the Japanese move all their headquarters around. Polish morale continues to suffer from the German Bricks League, but they haven't surrendered yet. They haven't given up quite yet. New Zealand declares war on Germany. And the BEF arrives in France. Excellent. Okay. So Polish suffers morale losses, right? Allied raiders disrupt Norway German convoys. Calculating supply. Okay, that's all the deaths and other things. We had a bit of interdiction going on our convoy route again. We're going to have to check that out. Right, so that's just telling us just in French. Oh yes, our BEF. If we get our BEF units into and keep them in France, it does help with the French morale somewhat. And that's just telling us to keep units on Gibraltar, Malta, Cairo, Tunis, and Damascus, in order to help our campaign down there. We've also got some extra units to place in China, which we'll do when we... In fact, should we do Japan first this turn? I think we will. We'll head over there. We've got an extra unit, and I know exactly where I want to put it. Get that core unit, and we're going to put it to protect this road here. Roads are really important in this game because they provide supply. So we're going to want to protect that and protect the supply line there coming up to Nanjing. And we're also going to want to get some more units down here, and also this, most importantly, can I get down to there? Oh, just to there. Okay. Most importantly, get this headquarters down. We're also going to send this core down as well, I think. We can fast move that down to the Kowloon Pass, block that little area there. And then it's just to check out that our guys are holding out all right, and we're going to get this commander down. This commander's going to head for these guys. Now, I haven't put auto assist on my commanders yet. You can set up who they command. I haven't done it yet because I'm still moving stuff around. I'm happy with all that. I will reinforce this chap here. And our fighter didn't lose any. We'll reinforce this headquarters when we get a chance. Now, how many points? Now, we've got 212 points for the Chinese at the moment, and that means we can do a bit of research. And the first thing you want to research for the Chinese, you've got to get infantry weapons. Forget the economy for now. For the Chinese, they've got to get those infantry weapons and also the advanced fighters as well. So we're going to get the infantry weapons research underway for the Chinese, because the Japanese will be getting infantry weapons too. They've already got infantry weapons 1. And if you don't get infantry weapons at least 1 soon for the Chinese, they're going to be completely outclassed. So that's a must for the Chinese. Okay, so that's that done really, I think. We'll check out the Polish. There's not going to be a lot we can do in Poland. It's just a matter of trying to block the entrance to... Can't even move this. I'm going to attack these guys. You're going to lose, but they're nearly dead anyway. And I'm going to reinforce this as much as we possibly can. Just 1 point. Okay, it might prevent 1 damage maybe to a bomber on the way in. That's kind of all we can do in Poland. Now, the French are a different matter. There's a lot we can do here. First of all, though, I want to just check out where this... There's the interdiction. It gives you a little question mark. Now, it is there or was there. So we're going to move down. We'll move down with the destroyer, see if we can spot it first of all. Oh, it's still there. Okay. I think it's still there. Anyway. Oh, it might not be. It might be, though. Let's move down with the battleship. Oh, it's moved. Damn it. Okay, so it's moved. Let's move across with the British cruiser. It might end up on this line again somewhere, and we'll see if we can find it. However, we've got the French fleets into the Med now, kind of where I want them. We've got the British carrier there, providing some anti-air support. That's all fine. Let's concentrate on France, on the defence of France then. So first thing is, want this army out to use elsewhere. Move that to there. We'll move a corps in. I want this army out as well. Move a corps in. And finally, oh, it's this army I want out of the fortress. So we'll do that next turn. Okay, going to want to buff up their move the French fighter. We want to upgrade to fighters 1, and there the BEF. Initially, I'm going to kind of put them in this, but I might swap them a little bit in a minute. but we can kind of leave them there like that for now, and we'll start upgrading them in a second. But for the Brits, I want to start doing some research. We'll reinforce everything just before the Germans attack, but I want to start doing some research for the Brits, and we want to try, we've got the infantry weapons underway, spying into, want to start getting the industrial technology. Industrial technology gives you more points to spend basically, so we want to get that underway for the Brits. Takes them down to 176. I think we'll go for advanced fighters as well for the Brits. This will also help us a lot for try and take North Africa nice and early in the game as well if we can. So that's kind of it for the Brits. Points wise, we're going to want to move a carrier around over to Le Havre. We'll have one carrier in there, we'll have one in Southampton, and they're going to be providing us with a bit of some extra fighters for help when all the Germans and the Luftwaffe arrives in France. We'll leave our sub up there, that's fine. No interdiction going on, no, so we'll kind of leave that there. We'll kind of leave our destroyer there, see if we can, might move this one down a bit, see if we can catch anything as they move through the North Sea and North Atlantic. Apart from that, we're going to need to buy some units for the French, aren't we? So yeah, let's purchase for the French. I want to get some anti-air units. I want to get 2 anti-air units for the French. They can only get 2, so let's get both the anti-air units. Oh, can't quite afford it, so I'll wait for the next turn for the other one. We've only got 79 points left. Okay, so that's kind of it, I think, for the French. Americans doing nothing. Can we do any research at the moment for the Russians? Again, for the Russians, we desperately need infantry weapons for Barbarossa, desperately. So we're going to leave those until they get 175 points, I think. So yeah, all in all, good turn, good first episode, I think. Good first one, because we've managed to delay the Germans at least to 3 turns in Poland. So I'm going to end this one here. Thank you all very much for watching. If you did enjoy it and you want to see some more, make sure you give me a like and even put a comment down below. If you want to know anything about this game, I've played it quite a lot, so I know it fairly well. It's a game that's fairly easy to get into, but it's really hard to get good at. So if you've got any questions, please do let me know in the comments below and I'll try to answer them. Again, give me that thumbs up, subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.